Okay, take us back to Anunnaki. What are they?
Well,
Are these giants?
Yeah. Okay, the Anunnaki, they are these beings that came from off-world.
So these are aliens.
These are aliens.
Anunnaki is a Sumerian word for those who descended to Earth from the heavens. It is the name of a godlike pantheon in Mesopotamian mythology. Today, however, the word Anunnaki is more associated with the theory that they were really highly advanced, technologically extraterrestrials that accelerated the process of the evolution of human civilization and human culture. Billy Carson, a prominent figure in the field of alternative history and ancient civilizations, shares fascinating insights about the Anunnaki and their influence on human history in his discussions with Andrew Schulz. Carson's theories, which draw heavily from ancient texts and indigenous traditions, offer a unique perspective on the origins of humanity and the civilizations that preceded us. Hello, and welcome back to More Than a Label. In today's video, we delve into Carson's interpretations of the ancient texts to get a feel of the overall context of the Anunnaki and the implications the pantheon supposedly had on our world. The Anunnaki are off-world beings, which is to say they are extraterrestrial, according to Billy Carson.
Okay, the Anunnaki, they are these beings that came from off-world.
Yeah.
They're actually hominids, bilateral bipedal hominids. They look just like us.
Carson explains. This definition goes light years beyond the stereotypical alien in the form of a small green man, refining the definition further to a being that is different but akin to the human species, possibly from shared genetics. Carson says that the origin of the Anunnaki was in the Palladian star system, towards a group of stars called the Seven Sisters. He says that, like in ancient accounts, there was really a galactic war and it caused their dispersion. These beings were a space-faring race that broke away from the Palladian star system. There was an ancient galactic war, Carson states. This war, he says, caused the displacement of many beings who became
This created something called space refugees.
and space refugees form a central element of Carson's theory. So, according to him, these technologically advanced beings fled their own home systems and aggressively started seeking new planets to live on. Eventually, they reached Earth, where they started living in the form of colonies, replicating their civilizations. This is a motif common to many science fiction, and it is not without doubt that inspiration for many aspects of Star Wars comes from the sources about which Carson passionately speaks. Carson reaches out to an array of ancient texts to justify his arguments, heeds from all over the world, and pulls ideas, including the Indian Vedas, the Mahabharata, and the Bhagavad Gita, as well as the American indigenous texts, the Terror Papers. The Indian Vedas are an essential source for Carson while interpreting them. Having been written thousands of years ago, these ancient texts contain a large number of mythological and historical narratives. The Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian Vedas, these are Indian ancient texts 5,000 years ago, Carson adds. On the one hand, there are gods and cosmic battles. On the other hand, there are encounters with aliens and technologies. For instance, the Mahabharata tells of weapons such as the Brahmastra. According to Carson,
And this war, they had these destroyers like Death Stars. They don't call them that, but they call them the Brahma Astra and Brahma Astra Honda weapons that actually can release a weapon that can destroy planets.
Okay.
Imagine if you were in a star system and a planet is being blown up and you're in a nearby planet.
He explains. Such descriptions, he claims, are of advanced technology, which ancient man was not capable of to develop. Another important source for Carson is the Terror Papers, an indigenous American text he believes has been systematically ignored. The Terror Papers, an ancient indigenous American text, the High Tribe elders have written this book, Carson says. This leads him to find similar themes amongst the cosmic wars and refugees, a shared narrative across different cultures of these beings coming from the sky and shaping the early human societies. Carson also sources a number of more abstracted ancient texts from the area, including the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Atrahasis, the Code of Hammurabi. Everybody's referencing the Atlantean civilization. Now, perhaps the most interesting parts about Carson's theories are the links to Atlantis. He says the Anunnaki created the Atlantean civilization, a highly advanced society that existed long before recorded history. The civilization they built is the Atlantean civilization. This is where we hear about Atlantis, Carson states. He then says that it's his belief that the evidence for Atlantis can be found in ancient texts and archaeological sites around the world. Finally, Carson claims that much of America was home to such pyramids. There were so many pyramids in the Americas, the Catholic Church blew up the tops of these pyramids and built churches on top of them, he says. This is a controversial claim, but points to, according to Carson, a concerted effort to clear all evidence of this advanced civilization. Carson's account also addresses the issue of knowledge suppression by religious organizations in their quest not to reveal the Anunnaki and these ancient civilizations to the general public. He is specifically targeting the Catholic Church's role during the Inquisitions. The Catholic Church went through something called the Inquisitions. They killed and tortured and murdered 80 million people to convert them into Christianity. This, he says, is part of their violent history, which they have been preserving by killing all those who revere it. He also suggests it was done to monopolize power and is therefore against a diverse righteous path of spirituality. Most of the world's sacred sites were reutilized or destroyed to hide the past of Christians. For example, he argues that in some instances, the church built over ancient pyramids to obscure their origin. This notion challenges popular history and, to say the least, challenges scholars and archaeologists of the origins of many religious and cultural sites. Critical to Carson's theory is the genetic link between the Anunnaki and modern humans. According to Carson, this genetic material is still reflected in humans today, the result of ancient interbreeding between the two. We have their genetics and their DNA inside of our bodies. He says that this is linked to the ancient astronaut theory, which essentially points that extraterrestrial beings interbred with early humans to produce modern Homo sapiens. Carson says that this genetic connection explains the many sudden advancements in human civilization, such as agriculture, writing, and the development of complex societies. He states that these human accomplishments are due to the extraterrestrial visitors and their intervention, not evolution. This view puts into question the whole process of human evolution and the development of civilization. We covered that subject in our last video, discussing Genesis and the Garden of Eden. Carson places the influence of the Anunnaki as extending down to the present time. He believes that bits and pieces of their knowledge and know-how are still extant but well disguised. Thus, for example, he cites the remarkably engineering and astronomical knowledge that is apparent in prehistory in structures such as the pyramids and Stonehenge. Moreover, he maintains that many modern-day scientific and technological achievements are actually reinventions of ancient law. He argues that the Anunnaki bequeathed clues and artifacts that have been gradually discovered and comprehended by modern-day scientists and engineers. This would seem to imply an essential cyclical pattern of knowledge and civilization, with mankind repeatedly reinventing its own ancestral heritage. To wrap up, Billy Carson's work on the Anunnaki and their influence on the human history is interesting and often provocative. So, what are your thoughts about the topic? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and let us know if you appreciate these amazing topics. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe for future updates. Join More Than a Label.